2, 1.
You gotta be kidding me.
It's just like this new schedule's totally confusing. Hey, you're ripping my car.
Yeah.
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
Right. Let's do the math.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Steel Sanctuary Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Ribeiro. I'm here with Trent Ging and Bob Quinn. Dave's not going to be able to join us today. He's with his son's baseball team. Not much going on this week except schedule release, guys. That's the big news all over Twitter today and yesterday. Any initial thoughts about the schedule? Not really too tough. Not a lot of travel. Overall, not bad. I think a lot better than last year, that's for sure.
I think it was middle of the road for travel, is what they said.
I got it right here. It's the bottom
fewest.
third, and if you take the Ireland game out, it would be like one of the least traveling schedules of all.
I know the Bengals have the least travel. They're rare, one of the rare times that a team has under 10,000 miles in total travel.
Yeah, they have 8,700 travel miles. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it really is.
So I guess the league thinks Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Steeler, huh? They open up the Steelers against the Jets. You got a primetime game against the Packers later on. The league's hedging their bets for sure. If Aaron Rodgers does sign, they want to have their games in. Do you think?
Sure.
What are you guys' feelings on Aaron? Another week in, still no word, not a peep. It's even quieter now than it has been in some time.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I actually think that the league feels like Aaron's going to sign here, or else. Is it the Justin Fields revenge game? Like, is that what we're starting out the season with? I mean, I don't know. That's like primetime TV, but like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just feels like, maybe Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers kind of switching teams would be a week one intriguing game. But it feels like they know something we don't. But, at this point, it's anybody's guess, honestly. Like, is this guy going to sign? Is he not going to sign? Who knows?
It's crazy.
Well, I mean, we keep talking about this. Oh, there's going to be some magical thing. Look, he's going to come when he's going to come. And it looks like that's going to be training camp. And if, maybe he shows up for the OTAs, but he's a 41-year-old, 42-year-old quarterback. He doesn't want to go stand around in the OTAs. And yes, he would learn things and maybe build a bond with his receivers. But Metcalf's his best receiver. He threw with them a little bit. We don't know. I'm not going to sweat him showing up in May when I think there's a great chance on June 1st when it becomes a little bit different to trade where you don't take a cap hit. I think we are going to see some kind of a trade in June. We got all these extra third and fourth round picks. You're not going to take 3/3 and make a first out of it. You might trade a first and a third and next year's first and move up, but you got extra thirds and fourths. We see the going price. Dowds, Dontavian Wicks, DJ Moore's price drops. And I think there's other guys who they'll look at during that time. And if that's the case, why rush in May when the roster for receivers isn't going to be set until really who knows when in June? And at that point, just wait till July and show up. People forget, like Brett Favre, everybody wants to make, Brett Favre, he'll mirror it. J.J. McCarthy, if he sucks, he'll go to Minnesota. Brett Favre signed in Minnesota August 19th, 2 weeks before the season started. Training camp was basically over. They were halfway through the preseason. I don't think Aaron's going to wait quite that long, but I mean, if he isn't there day one of training camp, then I'll start to worry about it.
Well, so you don't mind him missing OTAs and which start May 27th? You don't mind that? You think it's? I mean, I think it was last week we talked about. He's got his hand signals and his special way. He's got to be in here as soon as possible to get. We got a brand new wide receiver, DK Metcalf. You drafted a new running back, and Caleb Johnson's going to get a lot of carries.
They don't need months to work on that. They don't. They don't need. I mean, it'd be nice if they did, but at the same time, He's a 41, 42-year-old quarterback who's going to the Hall of Fame. I'm sure he can say to DK, hey, when I go like this,
but his
when I go
teammates
like
what I'm
this,
concerned about.
you go long.
What do you think, Trent?
I think if you're going to get this guy in the building, Arthur Smith has to change some of this offense, and you need him in there at OTAs in order to make that happen. Like if he's waiting until training camp, then that's just 2 more weeks of missed installment opportunities. And I think that the fact that Arthur Smith already had to change his offense last year because of Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, now you're going to ask this guy to change it again. And like as an offensive coordinator, would you want to be in that situation where you have no clue what the strengths of your quarterback room is going to be because you don't even know who your starting quarterback is in May? I mean, I think that you want to get this guy in the building as quickly as possible if you're the Steelers. Aaron doesn't care. I mean, I agree with that. Aaron doesn't care. Like, he doesn't need the practice. He doesn't need the reps. Like, this is the Hall of Fame quarterback that we're talking about. But, just kind of like Bob alluded to, though, you still have to, like, get the little intricacies of what he does and start working on those things now because it's going to be vastly different than what this offense was used to last year, year before that, going all the way back to Ben. I mean, there's been no consistency in this room. And if I'm Arthur Smith, man, I'm trying to make a push for everybody involved to get this thing, figured out one way or the other, because I need to know what my offense needs to be going into the season. Because we know last year he started installing stuff in OTAs. Like, he started his installation of the offense in OTAs. He's not going to want to wait until training camp. That's my opinion on it.
I mean, at this point, he may not want to, but
He's going to have to.
he's going to have to. And let's be honest. How fucking complicated is it to learn the halfback toss and roll out left, roll out right play action? Because that was basically the offense. And I mean, as far as like in his straight drop back and play action, he's a good play action passer, number one. But number two, as far as straight dropbacks, what the fuck is Arthur Smith going to teach Aaron Rodgers?
Again, it's not him though; it's the teammates. We know what Aaron Rodgers can do, but it's everybody else gelling and. You got rid of Pickens, so you've got DK Metcalf now. You got to incorporate him into the offense.
Yeah, but DK can learn with Aaron on the fly. I definitely.
What a Roman Wilson who couldn't catch the train last year. Now he's going to get asking him to kind of catch it with Aaron Rodgers driving it.
I would be shocked if post June 1st they do not do.
I think they're going.
They have all these extra picks. They didn't have picks last year. They couldn't just throw a pick out there. You gave away George Pickens for a third and a fifth. You're telling me you can't get Dontavian Wicks, 5th, 6th on the depth chart in Green Bay, or Romeo Doubs for a 4th? I bet you can. I
bet you can, but do they want? I think they're trying to hoard those picks for next year. I think they're trying to hoard every single one of them.
I think my point on this whole thing though is if you bring in Aaron Rodgers, you're not running 12 personnel on third down. Yeah. Like we did that a lot last year. So like. I think the point is if you're going to get this guy in the building, you want to get him in there as soon as possible. And it's up to Aaron. It's not up to the organization. But if I'm the organization, I'm trying to make a push for it because that's the part of where I think the Arthur Smith offense has to change on any kind of a pass play. Yeah, he can run the pitch plays. He can, he's probably got one of the best play action fakes in NFL history. I mean, the dude's got to be up there in the top 3 or 4 of guys in NFL history. So like, that's not an issue. But like, this guy wants to run 3-4 receiver sets, spread the field out, get the ball out of his hand quickly, and you have to start installing that stuff now because we didn't run it at all last year. But no, I mean, how many times did we have 4 receiver sets on the field ever last year? Like, a handful of times all season.
Think back to Tennessee and Atlanta. How many times have you seen an Arthur Smith offense with 3 or 4? So the guy who's installing that offense, if it happens, is Aaron Rodgers because Arthur Smith doesn't run that.
Right. That's my point, though. Like, you need this guy in the building to make these things happen now in OTAs, not wait until you're in training camp because that's wasted time. That's 2-3 weeks wasted time.
What do you guys make of the Ray Fittipaldo thing today where he said that Mike Tomlin's driving this train? Art Rooney is deferring to him as far as when the deadline should be for Aaron Rodgers and all this stuff. That's not a surprise to me. To me, that's just business as usual at Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin is driving this train, to me, every step of the way. Nothing goes through that team without his okay.
I think they're giving him the rope. I really do. And he may have been doing this for a while, but I think Omar Khan has at least convinced Art Rooney to say, look, the national media is always going to say it's all our fault because we didn't get Mike a quarterback. We didn't get Mike this. We didn't get Mike that. Let's step back and do the very non-Pittsburgh thing that they haven't done really since Chuck Noll was hired, before Chuck Noll was hired, actually. Let's give credit to the guy who's picking the players. Mike Tomlin put this together. And I think that's what they're going to use as the rope to finally say, okay, Mike, you've had all this time, and look what you did with it. You blew 4 different quarterback chances that you picked.
Nobody in the NFL has ever had more power than Mike Tomlin, other than maybe Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
think
you know,
Belichick
that-
won, and he's 2. I agree.
Yes. I mean, that. And the national media tries to give this guy so much clout for like, oh my God, he took this team to a 9-8 season when this team had no business being 9-8. He is largely responsible for the construction of the team that went 9-8. Like, he's going to take as much blame as he gets, you know, the praise from the national media. And I think that, yeah, I was a Mike Tomlin supporter for a really, really long time, but like 2 years ago was kind of when I hit my breaking point with him. And I feel like the message is stale. The playing, you know, obviously the offenses have changed in the NFL. This guy does not want to adapt to it. You bring in Arthur Smith, who runs your style of offense back when Jerome Bettis was your running back. Well, we don't have Jerome Bettis. We had Najee Harris. Like, you know, Najee played fine, but he was not, you know, the kind of guy you could turn and hand the ball to 30 times a game and win a game like that. Like, we don't have that.
Sure tried.
They did.
Our buddy Six Rings here says Rodgers is a waste of time. This needs to be a tank year. Get rid of Tomlin, start over. As a Pats fan, I can tell you it sucks, but you got to start fresh. Yeah, there's a big part of me who believes that, believe it or not, that they need to hit rock bottom before they get better. And as long as Mike Tomlin's here, that's not going to happen. He's not going to allow it to happen. He's going to keep going after the Aaron Rodgers, you know, the Russell Wilsons. He's going to keep signing, you know, the Slays and all these guys, these older veterans that are going to keep him just at that level where you can keep that winning record thing going. And he's just too competitive. And there's nobody in that organization that can tell him, no. Rooney doesn't have the stomach for it. I know Bob thinks it's that conspiracy. I think if Mike Tomlin snapped his fingers, Omar Khan would be gone tomorrow. That's all he would have to do is say, I don't want Omar Khan as my general manager, and he'd be gone. Khan's got no power in this organization. None.
If he runs out 9 wins or 10 wins to tie Noel, okay, he's back next year. Okay, they're going to let him break that record, even if it takes him 2 years, as long as it's not a 3-14 disaster.
Even if it is.
No, I think if it's 3-14 or something like that, and it looks really ugly with Aaron Rodgers in the building, then no. Now, if it's just Mason, Aaron Rodgers doesn't sign, he retires, whatever, which I don't think is going to happen. But if it did, then okay, maybe he gets a little bit of a pass for 1 more year. But if Aaron's in the building and they stink it up, I mean, this could happen. Aaron could be in the building, they could only win 5 games. I think they'll win 11 or 12. But if that happens, all the cover for Mike Tomlin is gone. Because then Aaron Rodgers, you couldn't get it done. Russell Wilson, you couldn't get it done. Justin Fields, you couldn't get it done. Kenny Pickett, you couldn't get it done. You picked him. Mitch Trubisky, you picked him. You know,
Kenny Pickett.
And even with Ben the last couple of years. You know,
yeah.
People forget how good we were coming off Ben's injury year. We started 11-0, and maybe we were a little bit of a fraud.
That was fool's gold.
Well, no, I think the defense got injured, and then when they fucked us on the COVID thing, where we had to wait basically a week and a half to play the Ravens and then play a Wednesday, Saturday game, I think that was it. That team was too old offensively to handle that kind of stretched out deal, and it showed. But the only game they won in that stretch, everybody admits, Ben was drawing up plays against Indy to beat Indy to get the division. So you've known the coaching has sucked now for a long period of time.
I don't think Rooney sees it that way. I agree with everything you said, but I don't think Rooney sees it that way. I really don't.
I don't think he has until now, and because he's had the cover of the national media. But the national media is starting to circle and say, wait a minute. There you got voices out there like Brandt, and he's not the only one now of, hey man, it's been even Stephen A. Smith, who's a huge Tomlin guy. Even he's saying, hey man, it's been almost 10 years since we won a playoff game. What the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah. Adam brings up a great question in the chat. If Rodgers sucks, will they bench him? Tomlin wouldn't do it to Wilson. Does he have the fortitude to bench Aaron Rodgers, and how badly does that go if he does do it? That becomes a complete disaster.
Depends on the record. Are we 1-5 and he sucks, or are we 5-1 and he sucks?
Well, if he's 5-1, there's no way in hell they're benching him. I don't care what he looks like.
Yeah.
But if they're 3-4 and it doesn't look good, and they're winning on defense, I still don't think Tomlin pulls the plug. This is all in on Tomlin on Rodgers.
Unless they're like, okay, this is it. Like if it was like a couple years ago with Kenny, where we were 2-7, okay, TJ's hurt, we're fucked. That's it. Then maybe, okay, then you throw Will Howard in, or you give Mason a shot at it. But if you think, and I'm sorry,
somewhere Dave just got a little aroused when you said that.
Yeah,
somewhere out there.
if you think that they are benching Aaron Rodgers for Mason Rudolph, no.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
I
agree with you. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, they are not going to turn to Mason Rudolph, barring injury, if Aaron Rodgers it starts. Now, if Mason starts the season, and let's say, when we get through the easy part of the schedule, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute, if we're 2-4 after 6 games, it's a disaster. You're fucked. Put the kid in and see what he's got.
Yeah. Relic asks, at what point do the Steelers force Tomlin out like they did Palomalu? Here's how it's going to happen, if it happens. If this season's a disaster, they let him coach his contract out the year after, and then maybe they quietly nudge him out the door. They're not going to fire him, ever.
No.
Ever. And then there's the whole thing of, if this next season is a disaster, then you have the brand new quarterback thing that might keep him here for another 5 years. Because now you've got your rookie quarterback, and if he shows any signs of life, then Tomlin could be here another 5 years. And people have said it, and I believe it. It's going to be Tomlin's decision. When the time comes that he leaves Pittsburgh, it's going to be on Tomlin's terms when he decides he doesn't want to be here anymore.
Unless it becomes a disaster, because a lot of people, Nolan Tomlin, Tomlin doesn't have the 4 Super Bowl rings. He wasn't nearly as innovative as Noel, but their careers are very similar. Noel had virtually no coaching tree, and he had a kind of a hand-picked successor, and he was rolling through. But 86, 87, 88, we were terrible. 88 was the last time we finished last. That's you guys who follow the podcast, you've heard me talk about it. If you've read a lot of the stuff I've written, I talk about this all the time. The purge of 88, Dan Rooney was going to fire Chuck Noll. It was going to happen. Joe Green intervened, and they extended him for 2 years to let him finish out the contract, but it was under the condition that he had to fire every single coach, and Dan Rooney picked the coaches. Art doesn't have the stones for that, I don't think.
I was just going to say.
But
that's not art at all.
But if you tank like that, he may empower Omar to say, okay, this is clearly not working. We're going to have to start over. And it's going to look bad. It's going to be a PR disaster, because if he has one bad season and they say, okay, fuck it, we're moving on, it's going to get framed of, oh, how come Tomlin doesn't get, multiple years of failure like Nolan Rooney did? Well, or Nolan Cowher did. Well, he's had multiple years of failure. This 8-year disaster of no playoff wins, it's the second longest stretch in Steelers history.
I mean, we all see it that way, but I don't think the Rooney see it that way. Again, I hate to keep saying that, but
I don't either.
This isn't not a disaster for Art Rooney. This keeps him, for the most part, out of the pages that he's not getting killed like Nutting is, and with the Pirates. He's above that fray, and that's all he wants. He got his Ireland game. He's happy. This is a Super Bowl. He doesn't care about. All he cares about is Tomlin keeps him out of the muck. That's what he cares about.
Yeah, as long as they're winning games and they're above 500, I'm not sure how much they're putting into the playoff stuff, like the fan base is. I honestly don't. I think Tomlin writes his own ticket for as long as he wants to, and I mean, honestly, he's still a relatively young coach.
Compared to
I mean, you talk about he's the longest tenured coach in any sport, and yet he's nowhere even near retirement age for a lot of these guys that coach into their 60s, some into their 70s. Like, this guy could legitimately coach for 20 more years without question. And they don't want to be the guys. I think the biggest thing is they don't want to be the organization that fires this guy and he goes off and wins a Super Bowl somewhere else. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. Art does not want to be known as the guy who fires Mike Tomlin. He goes to another organization and wins a Super Bowl.
Which he could easily do, because going to another organization might kickstart his, he's got all new coordinators. It's a wake-up call. It's like, hey, I got to do something different. And all of a sudden he rattles off, a couple of Super Bowls, because he's not a bad coach. He just makes bad decisions with his coordinators. He's a little behind the times. If you ever got a modern offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator to help him out a little bit, he'd be one of the great coaches of all time.
No indication he's willing to do that.
That's what I mean. Getting fired or quitting would kickstart him into thinking, get him out of this malaise that he's in with the Steelers, where it's, he's got nobody threatening him. There's no pressure on him internally. It's the Mike Tomlin show. And when you're in that bubble, in that cocoon, and no one's pressuring you, you don't change.
Well, look, this isn't completely unprecedented. There's a lot of similarities too to how well Don Shula did for the first 15 years.
I think that's a good comparison, actually.
And then how bad Don Shula was for the last basically 10, 12 years of his career. I think Tomlin is in that. Now, Shula at least was innovative. He was willing to change. He kind of pinned his hopes on Marino, but then it was kind of like, okay, Dan, you just do everything. Be the Dan Marino show. And I think he was trying, but, it just kind of went downhill. Do we want to be the Dolphins? Do we want to be the fucking Cowboys? I mean, it seems like we do.
Yeah. He likes it. He likes to just barely relevant to a little bit above relevant. I think that's what Art wants. He doesn't want to be involved in a mess, because if you get rid of Tomlin, you got to start over, and there's risk involved to that. You get, like Trent said, if he goes off somewhere else and wins, and you pick a bad coach, your legacy is ruined.
Look at it. Yeah. Look at the Eagles, though. They moved on from Andy Reid. But they had the balls to do it, and they won 2 Super Bowls with 2 different coaches. Yeah, they have an owner who doesn't give a fuck. He wants to win, and he's not afraid to change.
You could also turn into the Patriots too, where you get rid of Bill Belichick, you bring in Gerard Mayo, and then you're firing your coach after one season. I mean, like, I don't know. I was
pushing back on that though, because the Steelers are they've hired 3 coaches in 50 years, and. Why do why do we just assume that whoever they hire is going to be fucking terrible?
No, it's just a risk. They could be lucky, or not lucky. They could make the right decision and have another great coach for another 20. But the odds are going to catch up with them eventually. They've picked 3 great coaches in a row. Eventually, you're going to miss on one, and they're more likely to miss on one with this owner, who's got no balls, and
but who also will not pull the trigger. So he'll sit back. The Steelers aren't going to, even if they're terrible, and hey, it's a transition year, it happens. Look, we haven't picked in the top 8 of the draft since 1970. Well, our worst record in that time was 5-11 when we finished last place in 1988. If you think the Steelers are going to fall off of a cliff just because they changed coaches, it's unlikely. It's unlikely, because history says they're going to get the hire right. And even if they get it wrong, the Eagles got it wrong with Chip Kelly. He didn't take them to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but now you're talking 3 coaches in 4 years. Boy, Rooney does not want any part of that. That keeps him up at night. I guarantee you.
He's not going to be a part of that. So if they go 2-15, nobody's going to panic. They're not going to pull the trigger. They're not going to fire anybody. They're going to say, okay, let's give him another year with the young quarterback, let him develop. Because if they hire somebody, they're going to give him a 4 or 5 year contract. And what do we know about the Steelers?
Yeah.
They're going to pay out the whole contract, and he's going to coach the whole fucking
That
contract.
could be another part of the problem, though. That's they know that once they pick a guy, they're going to stick with him for the entire contract. So, like, if you miss, you're not only missing for year one, you're missing for 3 to 4 years, depending on what that contract looks like.
Right. So that's a scary prospect.
I think that's a drawback for how the organization looks at firing Mike Tomlin personally.
I agree.
But you can't live on that. You can't just say, "Well, we're just going to suck forever," because
We agree with you, Bob, but it's
bad could happen.
I'm just telling you that Rooney doesn't agree with us.
Yeah, I agree. I'm in favor of getting rid of Tomlin and moving on, but like the organization is just not going to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're
I don't.
ready
I would
for
be
that.
absolutely floored, more surprised than I've ever been in a sports thing ever if they fired Mike Tomlin. Even 3-14, they at least let him ride his contract out.
It's going to take 2 seasons like that before they get rid of it.
I agree.
Yeah.
And like I said before, then you get a quarterback bump, a brand new quarterback bump that keeps him. You end up extending Tomlin, and he never gets fired.
I don't think, or let's say he goes 3-14, and we get a good pick in the draft. I think you could be looking at okay, Art, we can't let him pick the quarterback because he's fucked it up 5 times in a row. So he may turn around and say, okay, I'm bringing in a coordinator who's going to pick the quarterback. Art dictated Todd Haley, from what we know. So it could very well happen that, hey, I'm going to bring somebody else in to put it in charge of the offense. Mike, if you don't like it, quit. I mean, it won't be public. It'll be behind closed doors.
Yeah, it definitely won't be public. All right, let's get.
Well, hold on. For Richard, Plax was a top 10 pick. Yeah, he was pick number 8. The Steelers have not picked higher than 8. They picked Terry Bradshaw first in the 1970 draft. They have not, since 1970, picked higher than 8. They've only had, and this whole losing season bullshit, just real quick before we move on to the schedule, we've only had 7 losing seasons since 1970. I don't really give a fuck that Mike Tomlin didn't have one, because Carroll only had 3 and Noel only had 4.
Yeah, and most of Knowles were, late in his career when they'd been around for a long time. All right, let's get to the schedule. That's what this podcast is supposed to be about. We got sidetracked with some good Tomlin talk. We'll go. I'm going to go game by game. We'll do it relatively quickly. We're going to pick, just for fun, if we think the Steelers are going to win or lose. This is all dependent on whether Aaron Rodgers is quarterback too. That's got a big deal. Week 1, Jets. Great game if Aaron Rodgers is here. Shitty game if he's not here. When he left, he left on bad terms with the Jets. I don't know if you guys saw that interview where he said, I flew across country to meet with the Jets, and they spent 10 minutes with me and told me I was gone. So there's going to be some Aaron Rodgers quotes to go along with this game and some hard feelings. And again, if Aaron Rodgers signs, I can't wait. This is a great, as good an opening game as we could have possibly asked for.
So we're going to do the with Mason as quarterback and or as somebody as quarterback besides Aaron Rodgers and with Aaron Rodgers, right?
Okay. With Aaron Rodgers, it's a win for me. Without him, on the road, Mason Rudolph. I'm taking the Jets.
Okay, so Steelers with Aaron and Jets without. Okay, Trent, you want to go next?
I'm going to say this is a win either way. I think we get this done against the Jets. Lost their number 2 corner. Of course, we don't have a number 2 wide receiver, so I guess that doesn't matter. So
cancel that out.
But I really think that we're going to be. I mean, we saw the Jets last year. We didn't have much better quarterback play last year than what we have, right now in the locker room. I mean, Russell Wilson wasn't very good down the stretch. He had a good game against the Jets, but I think it's a win either way.
I agree. I think it's a win either way. They're catching Justin Fields at the right time, the first game of the season. I think he'll move the ball. I think he'll be very motivated. With Aaron Rodgers, I feel he can be as motivated as he wants. The defense will have something for his ass because they'll be fresh and healthy. And if Aaron or Mason plays, I still think the Steelers win, but it would be like a field goal fest, like a 19-13 type of game.
Relic said I'm too negative to be asking these questions.
Somebody's got to ask.
Justin Fields picks them apart.
The Jets are 1 injury away from Chuk Okorafor being the starting left tackle. So I was looking through their roster today, and he's the backup left tackle. So that's fun. Week 2, New England Patriots at New England.
Seahawks.
Seattle.
I'm sorry. I got it mixed up. My bad. Week 2, Seattle. Home opener. DK Metcalf against the Seahawks. The quarterback that was almost the Steelers quarterback, Sam Darnold, against hopefully Aaron Rodgers, maybe Mason Rudolph. Cooper Kupp is a Seattle Seahawk as well. Let me see. With Aaron Rodgers, this is definitely a win. I might go 0-16 with Mason Rudolph. I say they lose this game with Mason Rudolph as quarterback. Trent, what do you think?
I don't believe in Sam Darnold even a little bit. I think he's going to fall back apart this season in Seattle. Basically it's Cooper Kupp, who I think he's effective, but he's lost a step at this point in his career. I think that's pretty safe to say. And I'm interested to see how they play that out with him and Jackson Smith and Jigba, because they're kind of both slot guys at this point. So which one moves outside and plays more outside? Obviously they don't have DK because we do. No Tyler Lockett. I don't know if this Seattle team's going to be as competitive as even what they were last year. I think this was another one that we win either way. Probably a big Caleb Johnson game.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think if Aaron plays, we blow him out. If Mason plays, I think this will be a more comfortable win than he did against the Jets. He had a pretty good game against Seattle, and I think throwing to DK will be motivated. With the exception of the Ben injury, this will be now the third home opener since 2011 with the Seahawks. When Ben wasn't hurt, we beat him. So, yeah, I think we win this game either way. So I got to start now 2-0 no matter who's the quarterback.
Same here.
I got to start 0-2 with Mason, 2-0 with Aaron. All right, I screwed up. Week 3 at New England Patriots. I may or may not be going to this game. I live here in New England. I was talking to Trent before. Ticket prices are fucking outrageous here in New England. And then there's the undaunting thing of being surrounded by 50,000 New England Patriot fans. So I'm still on the fence on this one. Mike Vrabel, new head coach for the Patriots. They're headed in the right direction. They signed Stephon Diggs and Milt Williams, 2 big free agent signings, 2 really good ones. With Aaron Rodgers, this is a win. With Mason Rudolph, this is not a win. I'm sorry. 0-3.
Yeah, I think with Aaron Rodgers, this is a win, but I think this is a sneaky game. I think people are going to look at their New England team from last year and think this is going to be like a cakewalk game, but I really, really, really like Drake May coming out in that quarterback class. I actually thought, I said at the time, I thought he was going to end up being the best of the group. I still think he can be, but I know Jaden Daniels kind of hit the ground in this insane sprint that he went through. But they're really putting some nice weapons around Drake May. Picked up the left tackle. I know Bob wasn't a big fan of him in the draft process. But I like the direction the offense and Mike Vrabel, I think, is fantastic coach. He actually does remind me a lot. He reminds me a lot of Mike Tomlin in a lot of ways. He's very stuck in his ways in the way he does things, but New England kind of needs that right now. So I think that could be a loss with Mason, but I think it's a win with Aaron.
Yeah. Okay. So I think with Aaron, it's close, but they win like a 1916, 21-17 type of game. I think Mason Rudolph loses this game all day, every day. This is not. He goes in there. Vrabel he's not Belichick, but he's a very good defensive coach. And I think if it's Mason, it's like a 16-6 game. I don't even think we score a touchdown.
Yeah, that game could be has the makings of being ugly if things don't go their way. All right. Week 4, the Art Rooney Super Bowl. Vikings in Ireland. This has been waiting for this his whole entire life. He's got his game. 9:30 a.m. here on the East Coast for us, which is kind of cool. J.J. McCarthy, rookie quarterback. We don't know. I know Trent doesn't like him. We don't know what we're going to get out of that. Brian Flores is the defensive coordinator. Should still be the defensive coordinator here, in my opinion, but that's another story. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I think we could be 4-0 with Aaron at this point as quarterback. God, I don't know. Mason Rudolph in Ireland. I just think the Vikings are too good. I don't think Mason Rudolph beats the Vikings.
Yeah.
Good, Bob.
Okay, so I think if Aaron plays this game because of his familiarity with the division opponent, I do not believe in J.J. McCarthy at all. I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be a disaster. I think if we get Aaron and they play this season out, they're going to wish they had pulled the trigger with Aaron Rodgers. But that being said, I think if it's Aaron, it's tight, but it's high scoring. It's like a 24-21, 27-24 type of game. If it's Mason, I think we blow them out because Minnesota, the defense will be so hyped up because they'll feel like they've got to win the game with Justin Jefferson. I think they win by 3 or 4 touchdowns, and I think Mason going over the top to DK because the Minnesota offense, Brian Flores likes to play zero coverage. You cannot survive playing zero coverage against DK Metcalf, and I think Mason
You can when
throw it
Mason's
up over the top. Huh?
You can when Mason's quarterback.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think they will. I think they will. They'll zero blitz Mason a lot. And I think it'll be like the big games he had with Pickens. He'll complete 3 or 4 bombs for 2 or 3 touchdowns. So, yeah, I got us winning either way. I got us 3-1 with Mason, 4-0 with Aaron.
It's the sunshine corner over there.
I agree, Mace. If it's Aaron Rodgers, I think Aaron Rodgers wins this game. I didn't like J.J. McCarthy in college. Even the rivalry aside, like, I mean, I'm sorry, but like, if you don't let a guy throw the ball in the second half of an entire football game, like, you don't believe in the guy. And there was multiple games where he barely threw in second half of games. Like, that just tells me coaching staff doesn't have confidence in you. That's not a top 10 pick to me. So the thing that I'm really kind of like struggling with this game is if Mason starts, the additions of Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargraves is going to make it really difficult to run up that middle and gives Brian Flores a lot of versatility to do what he wants with the defense. I think that's the part that I'm a little intrigued by. I think Mason would have to hit some shots downfield, like what Bob is saying. If he misses those shots, this could be an easy loss. I would go. I'm really torn on this one. I'm going to go loss with Mason, win with Aaron.
Okay.
All right. So going into the bye
week
with Mason, I'm 3-1. Trent's 2-2. Dave is 0-4. And our man George here, is seeing a pattern.
What do you guys think of week 5 bye? That kind of sucks. I mean, you
I
like
feel
to have
like they're
more
going
close
to
in the
win the
middle of the
bye.
season.
They will
Yeah,
win.
well, they could do that.
I think it's smart. I mean, you're coming back from an international game. I know it's early in the season, but like also with so many new pieces on this offense, especially, it gives you an opportunity to really take a step back and reset. So like if you are, if Mason is the quarterback and Dave's got him 0-4, it gives you a chance to like kind of right the ship a little bit.
Circle the wagons and try to figure something out.
Like, what the hell are we doing here? Will Howard, better warm that arm up, buddy, because you're going in.
Give me the righty out of the pen. I need another guy.
Yeah, Dave's. I guess Dave is going to have the Kenny Pickett Will Howard Bowl.
It could happen. It could happen. I guess they gave Rooney the option. If you have an international game, you can decide whether you absolutely want to have the bye or not. And Rooney said no, and they gave it to him anyway. So you're starting to see where Rooney's pull in the league is now. It's dwindling fast where they don't even listen to him anymore. It's too early for me. I'd rather have the bye mid-season or later when you're really beat up and you need a bye. But it is what it is, I guess. All right, that takes us to week 6, the Cleveland Browns.
Kenny Pickett Bowl.
Well, here we go. I'm going to predict Shadur Sanders is the quarterback by then, and Mason Rudolph or Aaron Rodgers are going to win this game. For all you people who are wanting to see me pick a win, there it is.
Only because Shadur is playing.
That's it. It's the only reason. The most overrated college prospect in the history of sports. But other than that, we're good.
Kenny Pickett is starting this game because Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders both knocked themselves out before the game.
Both got injured in a fist fight in week 2. They're both out for the
Deontay
season.
Johnson.
God.
Oh, yeah, we forgot about Deontay Johnson, too. Third man in the ring. In all seriousness, I will pick the Steelers in both, either one.
Yeah. it's pretty safe to say Pittsburgh can win this either way. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is.
Thank God for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's no matter what. I think it's a big game for Caleb and Jalen in this game. You know, Caleb is not. I know everybody's excited. I get it. I think he's going to be okay, and I think in the tandem he'll be really good. But if you're expecting a bunch of 100-yard games from Caleb Johnson, I don't see it. Okay, NFL defenses are not Iowa State. Okay, so let's temper it down a little bit.
There's a lot of Big Ten guys in the NFL right now, Bob.
Well, it's the Big 12 though.
No,
From Iowa.
Iowa's Big Ten.
State.
Iowa's the Big Ten.
Right, but if you go back and you look at all those games, I'm talking about Iowa State. Caleb Johnson's from Iowa, but you look at some of those games he had, they weren't against the best competition. Now, that being said, I do think he's going to be good. I just think it's going to be a true split. It may turn it. It's going to be 60-40 Jalen. Maybe, and this Browns game, I think, is when it flips. It goes to 60-40 Johnson here. And I think he has his first big game as a Steeler. He'll have like 75 to 100 yards.
I think the Browns do still have Devin Bush, right? He's still on that roster.
They did re-sign him, I thought.
Yeah, Who do we think is going to be the quarterback by now? Do you think it's going to be? It's probably going to be Flacco. Does he hold the job that long?
No. Whoever wins the Flacco Kenny battle is getting cut, or the other guy is getting cut. So there's no way they're carrying both of them.
Yeah, that's interesting because they can't keep all four. I guess they could. No, they couldn't because you're not going to.
You'd have to put one on the practice squad.
Yeah, I was going to say, could you get
Gabriel?
You could probably get Dylan Gabriel to the practice squad because nobody else wanted him but the Browns.
No, I mean he was overdrafted as a third round, but you go put him on a practice squad. I think a lot of teams would pluck him off and say, "Hey, come sit on our bench."
So yeah, I guess you're right. Either Kenny or Joe Flacco get cut before the season starts.
Kenny Pickett coming back to Pittsburgh.
Can we only hope? Can we only hope?
I mean, just for the irony of it, like I just want to laugh at it.
This could be a fucking phenomenal season.
If Kenny beats the Steelers in Pittsburgh, oh my God. As bad as the Mason stands are, oh my God.
Yeah, the Pickett lickers will be coming out of the woodwork.
Wow, it would.
I'll have to just be quiet and take it.
People are gonna be begging to trade a third-round pick to get Kenny back in the building.
God. All right, Week 7, Cincinnati Bengals. To me, this is a nightmare matchup for the Steelers. I don't like it at all. Well, it's a Thursday night game, by the way. First Thursday night game of the season. The Bengals are not having a great offseason so far. Shamar Stewart not playing in rookie minicamp. Trey Hendrickson going off. That was
about amazing.
The Bengals. He's not sitting quietly with his contract negotiations. The Bengals. This one's at Cincinnati, short week. I take the Bengals, either quarterback.
Bear in mind, one thing you got to remember: the Bengals play at 4:30 on Sunday. They have an even shorter turnaround.
Yeah, but they're home, so. Mike Tomlin on the road Thursday nights.
Terrible.
Awful.
Mm-hmm.
I think Aaron wins this game. If he's here, I think Mason, we lose. There ain't no way Mason's putting up like 42 points, and Cincinnati's going to score 42 points.
Yes. Yes.
All season long. They're going to give up 42 points, but they're going to score 42 points.
With Aaron Baby. Yeah, with
Aaron,
Mason.
Yeah.
All right, so Dave, are you taking the Bengals with Aaron or the Steelers?
I'm taking the Bengals both, either way.
Okay. I'm taking the Steelers with Aaron, and it'll be a high-scoring game, but it'll be in the 30s. I don't think it'll go to the 40s. And I think because they can't stop anybody, I think
if Aaron Rodgers is playing in that game, Calvin Austin goes crazy in that Cincinnati game.
Yeah, who's the I don't even know who the Cincinnati corners are anymore. That team's so bad.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody. Mike Hilton's not there anymore. There's no slot corner. Calvin Austin's going to go crazy.
Which sucks because that's actually an improvement, not having Hilton to cover.
Well, yeah. Yeah, he wasn't very good last year.
Great blitzer. Don't get mad, chat. Yeah, if you're blitzing him, nice player. You got him in
that one
coverage.
season he had with Pittsburgh, he did blitz well, but he played pretty well overall, I think, in that one season. But yeah, he's not a good cover corner.
Okay, I would feel more comfortable with Artie Burns covering somebody than Mike Hilton.
Easy ball.
Ooh.
Well, actually, Artie Burns is still in the league, man. He's still going. For a busted draft pick, he's managed to cling to a roster spot the whole entire time, which is amazing to me.
Mike Hilton is small, but he makes up for that by being slow.
All right, week 8, Packers, Sunday Night Football, throwback uniform game. Let's talk about that a little bit. The rumors are now that maybe it's going to be all white with the yellow helmet, kind of like that. I think all white with the black helmet would be even better. But I'd be okay with either one of those. I still want the Batman ones with the triangle across. I would love to see that. I don't know if I'm going to get my wish, but hopefully.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what they come up with.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers against the Packers is must-see TV if he's here. The Packers and the 7 wide receivers, Matthew Golden, and everybody else they have.
I think one of those Packers wide receivers will be in Pittsburgh.
Hopefully. I'd take just about any of them. Wicks kind of drops the ball up. He's a pretty good route runner. And something they don't have.
I'm just a player. He's just got a headache.
Yeah. Is it Wicks? Wicks like top 5 in the league in like separation rate, but he's also like bottom 5 in the league in drop rate.
Yep.
I think you can fix drops. I think that can be fixed, but and you can't teach separation like he does. Mm-hmm. Like he's like really good. So I don't know. I'd be willing to roll a dice for a 4th. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I give a 4th for Wicks. I give and Dobbs. If I can get Christian Watson, I give him a 3rd.
Yeah, but Watson's pretty much more of what they had, right? He's kind of a DK type, tall, fast.
He and Aaron Rodgers had a ton of chemistry, though. I mean, they had a ton of chemistry, in that back half of his rookie season. So, I'm a huge Romeo Dobbs fan. Like I think that kid is really, really good. Undersold probably a lot of the time.
All right, so with Aaron, this is at home. All right, I'll go. Yeah, I'm going to go loss either way on this one. Packers are really good.
I am also going loss either way on this one. I think this will be the Steelers' first loss of the season. I think Aaron will be pressing on Sunday night on a national audience, so I think he'd make a mistake or two. Green Bay's defense is a lot better than people think it is. And I think Jordan Love will give the Steelers fits. They will forget how to play a mobile quarterback, and Jordan Love is more mobile than a lot of people think. So, and I think Mason has virtually no shot of winning that game. So I don't think it'll be as bad as the Bengals debacle, but I think it'll be, Packers get out 17-24-0, and maybe we score a couple touchdowns late.
Yeah, this one's just a horrible matchup all the way around. Jordan Love's a great quarterback. I think, they could run the ball as well as anybody with Josh Jacobs. So, like, if they want to play our game, they can play our style of game. LaFleur likes to run the ball. This is just a bad matchup all the way around. I think this is probably a loss either way.
All right, next up, Indianapolis Colts. Who's the quarterback at this point? Is it Richardson? Is it Danny Dimes? They drafted my favorite player in the draft, Tyler Warren, though, so they've got some weapons on that team. If they're going to straighten out the quarterback, it'd be a dangerous team. But the Steelers lost to the Colts last year, in case that matters to you at all. That was Joe Flacco at quarterback, too. With Aaron, it's a win. This is at home. You know what? I'll give him a win with Mason too.
I'm going to win either way because what they lost Ryan Kelly is their starting center. They lost. Did they lose one of the guards too? Indianapolis. I think they lost 2 of their starting offensive linemen this offseason. Right. So, Indianapolis is just kind of a mess. They're kind of in a rebuild in their own right, so I think we win either way.
I think this has a chance to be the Tomlin game, but I think because it has been the Tomlin game last year, that he'll do everything he can to make sure, and there will be no Minshew magic or Flacco, stuff to bail him out. I mean, it's either Anthony Richardson or Danny Dimes. I feel pretty good with the defense either way. Colts wide receivers, I mean, we'll see if Adai gets a bigger role this year because it's fast. But Michael Pittman, he's a big, slow, plodding guy. And I
solid,
think
though.
He's solid, but I think he's the guy Joey Porter can really disrupt.
Probably, yeah.
So, yeah, I think they win this one either way.
Shane Steichen does seem to have Tomlin's number, though. He's beaten him. Sauber brings up a good point. He's beaten him 2 years in a row.
In Indy.
Was it both games in Indy? Yeah. That could make a difference. But, I still think Mason Magic for 1 week.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Sunday night game in LA against the Chargers. Oof. I don't know about this one. Najee Harris reunited with the Steelers. He'll be probably enjoying the game from the bench.
All 10 of those carries
will be the starter. Dante Jackson is their starting corner, so that we have that to look forward to. They beat the Chargers last year somehow. I don't know how. So, Tomlin and the West Coast.
And they beat the crap out of them. I mean,
yeah, they did.
Wasn't a blowout, but they physically beat them up.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to go loss both ways, man. Tomlin on the West Coast. I don't like it.
Aaron plays. I like this game a lot better. Mason's definitely a loss. Like, there's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
I think we can beat him with Aaron. I think you just move TK Metcalf to wherever the hell Dante Jackson is and let him go wild. Because Jackson cannot guard him.
Agreed. Bob?
I think the Steelers win with either. And I'll tell you why. With Aaron, I think they unleashed the passing game a little bit. Herbert beat him with his legs in Ben's last year. But this is the team that played Renegade when Mason and Duck were the quarterback at their home stadium. So I'm thinking there's going to be more Steeler fans than Charger fans.
Oh, no doubt.
This is a home game for them.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I think the Chargers will play exactly what the Steelers want to play. In a phone booth, you run the ball into the line, we run the ball into the line, and I think Aaron makes enough plays. Still don't love the Chargers receivers. McConkey's not a deep threat. I think he's an excellent slot receiver. So, yeah, I take the Steelers either way here.
All right.
McConkey.
Yeah, I love McConkey.
I love that kid.
Really good player. All right, next week, week 11, Bengals in Cincinnati. Double loss. I don't like it. I've said this a couple times. They're going to spread the Steelers out. All that draft is going to be sitting on the bench, except for maybe one. This is a bad matchup. Jamar Chase on JPJ is a terrible matchup. Slay covering anybody on the Bengals is a terrible matchup. They've got, what's that guy, Ilya Sovis in the slot? Who's covering him? Who's covering him?
Is this the Sebastian Castro saves the season game?
I think Corey Trice is going to be a revelation, but this is not going to be the game where he looks good.
Yeah,
I agree. Bengals on prep for this. They'll be hyped, especially because I think we will have beaten them on Thursday night with Aaron. But I think the Bengals come back and get us here.
Yeah,
this is double loss either way. I agree.
I think the Bengals sweep us this year. I really do. As much as I hate to say that, it's like
I don't think so at home. I just don't think they beat us at home. But that away game, that's going to be rough.
All right. Week 12 is the Chicago Bears. This is an interesting game. How much does Ben Johnson, steer the ship in the right direction for the Bears? What does Caleb Williams look like in his second season. They got Luther Burden and Colston Loveland in the draft. That's pretty good pieces. They seem to fix their interior offensive line. They got Joe Tooney and a couple other guys. With Aaron, I say win. With Mason, I say loss.
I'm going to win either way. I think the Chicago Bears just cannot get out of their own way until they prove otherwise. I don't believe in that organization. Ben Johnson's a great coordinator. I think he'll try to get the offense moving, but like you had a top 10 pick in Roman Tuesday, and you couldn't get that guy like going at all last year. Nowhere near what his talent level is. So
That coaching staff in Chicago last year was atrocious. They're going to get a big bump with Ben Johnson, I think.
They will. I think it'll take a couple years before he really hits his stride there, though. So I think like this year, you're going to see improvements from that team, but I don't think you're going to see them take off. Like I think people think they're going to take off this year. I think you need a couple of years as a coach to really establish like your system and the way you want to play. So I know it's week 12 at this point. I still think it's a win either way.
Aaron Rodgers absolutely owns the Bears. He owns them.
I didn't even think
So
of
if
that.
Aaron,
that. Yeah.
yeah, if Aaron's playing, they beat them handily. I do not believe in Caleb Williams at all. I think the Bears, Ben Johnson is going to find out pretty quickly that the Bears, going all the way back to Sid Luckman, have made mistake after mistake at the quarterback position. And I think he's going to realize by this time of the year, hey, Caleb may not be the guy. So I think even with Mason, it's a double win. I think Mason beats him too. I think it's a lot
pretty
closer.
successful offense with Jared Goff, who's not exactly a world beater either. But so
Goff is a leader, though. Goff is a leader. I don't feel like Caleb. I wouldn't follow.
True.
I wouldn't follow Caleb Williams out of a burning building. I that's just me.
And don't underestimate Luther Burden in this offense. He's going to go off. I have a feeling he's going to go off.
I think the biggest thing is Caleb Williams does not play within the structure of the system. And Ben Johnson's system is so timing oriented. And you saw Jared Goff use that to his advantage so well that he hit everybody in the right time and the right stride and the right moments of every single play. Caleb Williams is not that guy. He's more of the out of structure kind of quarterback that likes to try to manipulate the pocket and make plays. Like I'm really interested to see how this thing goes because you got a coach and a quarterback that really don't pair well together, in my opinion.
Who's the Bears' backup? Just out of curiosity, is it Tyson Bagent? Is he still there? Let me look real quick.
I think he is.
It is him. They got Case Keenum too. Boy, Case Keenum running that offense might be better.
There was a lot of rumors that they wanted Badgett to take over.
We'll see.
The players on the team did, so we'll see.
Last year?
Yeah. Towards the end of the year, there was a spot going into after Thanksgiving where teammates were calling for it. Like publicly, it was getting.
They would have lost that kid if they benched him at that point. That's a first round pick, first overall, right? They would have lost that kid if they benched him at that point.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Week 13. I don't have much to say about this. Buffalo Bills, double L. Josh Allen, MVP, reigning MVP. They got Joey Bosa now. James Cook's been making some noise in this contract, but if that gets ironed out and he's James Cook, yeah, this is a nightmare. You go on vacation week. You don't want to watch this game.
Blowout. Oh, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Blowout.
Yeah, unless Josh Allen's hurt.
And even then, with Mitch Trubisky.
That would be fun. That would be fun. Facing Justin Fields, Kenny Pickett, and Mitch Trubisky all in one season. That would be amazing.
If Josh Allen got hurt, Mitch Trubisky would come in this game and light us up for like 330 yards and like 5 freaking touchdowns. Just because he would have more yardage and more touchdowns than he had his entire freaking career in Pittsburgh in one game.
Yeah, this is in Buffalo too.
Yeah. Yes.
No, it's at home. It's at Pittsburgh.
I'm sorry, it is at Pittsburgh. My bad.
Yeah.
My bad. It is Pittsburgh.
Blowout.
Still blowout. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. We're losing by 18 points at minimum.
Bob?
Unless TJ, yeah, it's a double loss.
It's a double loss. Okay.
unless TJ has a great game, and even
Yeah,
then,
some
it's still a
miraculous
loss,
game.
but it's a closer loss.
All right, that brings us to our first Ravens game and Baltimore. Derrick Henry got an extension, so he's going to be around Baltimore for a while. Malachi Starks, first-round pick. One of the safeties got hurt, is out for the season now, right? So Starks is
Yeah.
probably starting.
Yep.
And no Justin Tucker. I think that's going to be low-key huge for them. I still pick the Ravens. This one's at Baltimore. That's a double L.
I agree.
Yeah, I think they find out that the idea behind the draft of drafting everybody to stop Baltimore, great. We'll probably slow down the running game. They maybe combined they'll only run for about 150 yards. But unfortunately, because we'll be playing, 9 in the box, Lamar will torch us here. So he'll have one of his better games against the Steelers. So yeah, I got it.
Can I make a prediction? The Ravens are going to go in the pistol. Spread the Steelers out, and Derrick Henry's still going to run for 200 yards.
At some point, he's got to get old.
I mean, are we gonna do like 3 guys QB spying on Lamar Jackson like we did last year when they freaking ran all over us with Derrick Henry? Because that's what happened. I mean, we basically sent TJ, Alex Highsmith, and Patrick Queen after Lamar Jackson. Meanwhile, Derrick Henry is just like rolling through the middle of the field in the middle of the defensive line.
Maybe we'll play nickel all game again this time, just for shits and giggles to get run off the field again.
Why not?
Yeah. So all 3 of us double L. Bob, have you chimed in? Yeah,
Double L. I at Baltimore, I think that'll be just too much. I think they'll have adjusted, and Tomlin will go. But wait, I drafted all these guys. Yeah, so we adjusted.
All right, week 15 is the Dolphins. Monday Night Football. I'm actually going to say this is a double win either way. I think the Dolphins are going to sink to be one of the worst teams in the league. I think this could be the last year for that coach. I think Tua is going to get one more concussion. He's going to be gone. There is a lot of Kenneth Grant buzz that he's actually having a pretty good – he looks really good, and he could turn out to be a good player. But I know he's a Michigan guy. I'm sorry, Trent.
No, that was my guy in the draft. That's who I wanted us
really?
to get. Yeah, I wanted him to be our first-round pick. Cold weather Tua. We know how that story's written. Like that dude, cold weather, and I mean he can wear whatever scuba suit he wants to fucking wear under his uniform. The dude sucks in cold weather, so this is a win. I don't care. We can probably roll Skylar Thompson. This is a Skylar Thompson revenge game.
Skylar Thompson revenge game. I'm here for it. I am here for it. Zach's got a take. Lay it on us, Zach. While we're waiting for his take, James Daniels, by the way, homecoming. Starting guard with half a hamstring. Right out of it.
While we're waiting on Zach's take, I will just say that I think for all you Will Howard absolute truthers, this is Will Howard's first start if Aaron isn't playing. And I think against the Dolphins, they find a way to win a very close game. If it's Aaron, I think it's a blow.
Yeah, I just think the Dolphins are going to be really bad this year, and I think the Steelers win this one no matter what.
I'm going to throw this out there. If Dave is right, and this is McDaniel's like last season as a Dolphin coach, get Arthur Smith the hell out of the building and bring this guy in as OC immediately.
Trent, I got 2 things for you. I couldn't agree more, but Mike Tomlin would never do it.
Never do it. I wholeheartedly agree, but you need to make a play for that kind of a guy. That guy is very innovative as an offensive coordinator. There's no doubt in my mind that guy has gotten them moving offensively. He has you can tell he's got an archetype. It's just pure speed. And like, that's the direction that offense has moved. And if Tua is not hurt all the time, that offense is pretty hard to stop.
Yep. If they've got a quarterback, they're winning a lot of games with that offense. It's just they don't. Zach doesn't like us going game for game. We're just doing it for fun, Zach. We know this is going to be far from, especially rolling into week 16. It could be a completely different team with completely different players, but it's fun. Fuck it.
Yeah, and plus we'll get to see, just so you know, the reason we're doing this is so David, who's not here tonight, he did this with you guys last year, right? And it turned out he got it almost game for game right.
Yeah, he did pretty amazing. He only got like 2 games wrong the whole time. And I don't know if you're familiar, Zach, with the Steel Sanctuary motto, but it's ready, fire, aim. We just do Do it for the fuck of it. We don't care. Week 16, Detroit Lions at Detroit Lions. Oh, that's a big double L in my book. I am a little bit concerned that the Lions lost both their coordinators, so I don't know how that's because I think their coach is a lot like Tomlin. He's a rah-rah guy. He's the leader, but he's not the strategist. So I don't know how that's going to work out. But this is a fucking talented team on offense. They signed DJ Reed, which is a low-key good signing for them. Gives them another good corner on defense. You know, you got Gibbs, you got my boy Williams, you got St. Brown to deal with. I don't see how they get the tight end in Detroit. I'd be shocked if the Steelers, no matter who's quarterback.
I agree.
Go ahead, Jay.
No, I was going to say I agree with you. I think this is going to be a tough one to get a win on. I think it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Detroit's a very good team. I think Dan Campbell, unlike Mike Tomlin, runs his organization like a CEO, not a micromanager. And I think that's why he's found success. And I think that's exactly what's holding Mike Tomlin back right now. He wants to micromanage everything and make it his way. Sometimes you got to find the right guys as a coordinator and let them do what they do really well. And just get the hell out of the way. And Campbell does a phenomenal job of that. And that's why Detroit's having success. So I think it's a loss either way. They're a damn good team.
Terrible matchup for the Steelers again because they're going to go three wide.
If they were healthy, I think they could have beat the Eagles last year and went to the Super Bowl.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah, I think if they're healthy, it's at least a very interesting game. I don't know if they could stop Saquon even if they were healthy. So, but it would have been a very interesting game. This is a double loss. Yeah. It's on turf. If this were Thanksgiving, I think the Steelers would have had a chance. But they're going to be motivated. They're probably going to be playing for home field. I just can't see the Steelers beating the Lions.
Double loss. Week 17, back with the Browns. Who's the quarterback in Week 17? Shador. We hope. Yeah. It's a double win for me. I think the Browns and the Dolphins are bottom of the barrel for me. I think the Steelers beat them no matter what, even if it's in Cleveland.
This is a double win, and there's 6 quarterbacks who potentially could be playing in this game for either team. Right. I mean, you've got 4 from Cleveland and 2 from Pittsburgh. You could
even do 3 for Pittsburgh at this point because if Aaron's not here, this could definitely be Will Howard by now.
Yeah,
100%.
So I still think it's a win either way.
I think
is it scary how closely we resemble the Browns at this point? It's fucking terrifying.
It's bad.
I think if it's Aaron, it's a win. If it's Will Howard, and I think it will be Will Howard if Aaron doesn't sign, it's a loss. I feel like the Browns would be this year.
Big fender quarterback.
So we both going double win here.
I'm going 1-1.
Bob split.
No, Bobby, how could you do that?
Well,
all right, Week 18.
Because I think he wins his first start. He gets full of himself. The Lions beat the shit out of him. Loses confidence. We always lose a stupid game to the Browns. I have us beating them early in the season. Yeah. We always lose a stupid game to the Browns. We split with them for like 5 years in a row. I hate the fact that we split with them, but
Week 18, game. Ravens. Ravens are resting all their starters, so I'm going to go win-win here for the Steelers. I think they're all sitting on the sideline waiting while the Steelers are playing out the string.
Yeah, we're going to beat up on their second string guys, and that's about the only way this is going to work. We're going to be fighting for a playoff spot and beating up on their second string guys. I think it's a win either way.
I think it's a win either way, but I disagree. If it's Aaron, we're playing for the division in Pittsburgh.
That's
the last game of the season.
That's the ultimate way you'd want the season to go, right? Go into the last week against the Ravens at home with the division on the line. If that happens, everything's gone right.
And if it's Will Howard, the Ravens will be playing their second string, and I think Will Howard gets his second win and evens at 2-2, and shows just enough for Pittsburgh to go, we got to get a fucking quarterback.
Yeah, that's kind of a sneaky, scary thing. If Will Howard does kind of okay the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, if that scenario plays out, And then the Steelers have convinced themselves they got the quarterback of the future, and they're drafting in the top 10, and they don't take a quarterback because they think Will Howard's the guy. That's just.
I just don't think Will Howard's going to be that kind of guy in the NFL. I mean, I know he's the Buckeye and Buckeye the guy here, but like, he's just not that guy.
Oh, Dave just drove off the road when he heard you said that.
I think he's got a chance, but he's a 6th-round pick for a reason. I mean, he may get in there and run around a little bit and make excitement. He's not an exceptional athlete. All these people are, oh, is he like? He ain't Justin Fields, okay? It ain't happening. But he could make it exciting. And let's be honest, if after watching Mason Rudolph were 7-6 and on a big slide, you throw him out there for the last month of the season, going, okay, we're either going to sink or swim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Will Howard's a better athlete than I think people give him credit for. He had 3 70-yard touchdowns in college.
He's got speed. He's got decent speed.
He hit 20. I think he hit 21 mile an hour on the GPS charts a couple times. At 240 pounds, he's a handful. Ran much better and much more at Kansas State than he ever did at Ohio State. He didn't need to at Ohio State. So like but 6th-round pick in a horrible quarterback class.
I know.
You're there for a reason. So
listen, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come here, let Howard play all season and find out what you got, because you know what you have in Mason. There's no. I know the Mason fans are going to come out and kill me for this, but
I disagree with that. I said you give Mason the first month, kind of like what I think they'll give Jalen. You got 4 weeks. If you go out 3-1, 4-0, okay, we'll keep going.
I guess
2-2, 1-3, then fuck it. We'll put all the kids in and let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's what Mike Tomlin's going to do, because he's going to try to win. And if he starts the season out 4-0, then we'll have Mason till the wheels fall off. Yeah, I guess, and he'll end up getting hurt or something.
Okay,
do you have the totals?
I do. So with Aaron, Dave has us 10-7. Trent has us 11-6, and I have us 12-5.
Sunshine Corner.
With Mason Will Howard, Dave has us 5-12. Trent has us 8-9, and I have us hanging on to the no losing winning streak 9-8.
9-8.
It
wouldn't shock me if Tomlin squeezed the 9-8 season out of Mason Rudolph. It wouldn't shock me.
Yep.
I'd hate it. Oh, Sommer agrees with me. There you go.
I would rather that too.
The Rich Eisens of the world will be praising him as like Coach Jesus.
Yeah.
For getting to 9-8.
Rich Eisens. Yeah, you're so right. Rich Eisen. I like Rich Eisen, but he's sickening when he talks about Tomlin, telling us we're spoiled and all that. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we're spoiled, all right. You know, we haven't won a playoff game in a decade, but sure.
We've gotten embarrassed in the playoffs the last 4 times. It's been ridiculous. Lost to the Cleveland Browns, for Christ's sake.
So we all have us making the playoffs with Aaron.
Yes.
And I don't think 9-8 is good enough in the AFC, so we all have us missing the playoffs.
100%
agreed.
If it's Mason, 100%.
Yeah.
Shower Kurt says if Tomlin goes 9-8, he's coach of the year. If he goes 9-8 with Mason Rudolph, I might give him a vote. I might agree.
I'm gonna say it's his own fault.
It is his fault, but
don't put yourself in that situation.
100%. Trent, you are preaching to the choir here.
And if we're 9-8 with Mason Rudolph at quarterback, Caleb Johnson went for 1,500 yards rushing. Just telling you that right now. And probably 15 touchdowns.
Once we get David's predictions, we'll put this all up on Twitter and we'll have it in our legendary pick segment to kind of save, and we'll refer back to the end of the year and see who came the closest. I think it's going to be really hard to beat David. I think he ended up missing one game last year.
I think it was 15-1 or 16-1 or something crazy like that. The guy was awful.
That's pretty amazing.
We heard about it every week too. Believe me.
I bet.
Guys, I got it right again. Like son of a bitch. He rolled it, man. He was good.
But he did not win the overall overall.
No, the picks thing. No, he did not.
My question is, was he wearing the Kenny Pickett jersey, smoking a cigar while he was telling you all about it?
No, he wasn't. He might have been a little loaded. I can't remember if he was drinking on that one or not. Which we should deduct points for that, right? Because he didn't even know what the fuck he was talking about. But I got to go back and listen to that podcast to see.
How many 100-yard games for Caleb? I say 3, maybe 4.
I'm going to say 6. I'm going to go optimistic. I think he's going to have a big year.
I do too.
He's perfect for this offense. I think he's better than people think. I think he's faster than people think. And I think they're going to feed the fucking shit out of the ball to him.
I was going to say 6 too, but just for the sake of being different, I'll go higher. I'll go 7.
Wow.
I'll go 700-yard games because I think he's going to be heavily featured in Arthur Smith's offense. Like this is the Arthur Smith guy. If Arthur Smith had one pick in this entire draft, this was the guy in any round.
Offensive rookie of the year? Could possibly. I mean, it wasn't a big wide receiver draft.
Yeah.
No quarterbacks. My man in New York might have something to say about that.
Ashton Genty and Omarion Hampton are going to get the ball a lot.
Genty in Vegas. Yeah, that's gonna be tough to beat. He's gonna be a featured back the whole. I mean, he's gonna be a 3-up guy.
And
Hampton's
nobody else going to feed Hampton too. Yeah.
Hampton and Harbaugh's offense is going.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think of that. Yeah.
I think they'll split more with Najee than maybe people think with Hampton because Harbaugh does like to rotate running backs. But I mean, Genty is the bell cow and the only guy in that backfield.
Yeah.
That's gonna be tough.
I'm going to reiterate my prediction. Gus Edwards will have more carries and more yards than Najee Harris.
I don't know about that, Bob.
I think it'll start out. It'll be Hampton, Harris, Edwards, but by week 4, I think Harbaugh is going to be pissed that he cannot hit a hole, and his running game is all about structure. There is no oops, and I cut back into the wrong lane.
Where's the hashtag hate guy? For you hating Najee Harris. Where is he today?
I disagree. This is Jim Harbaugh was the perfect pairing for Najee Harris. It's a power run offense where Najee runs behind pullers and stuff. I mean, this is the same offense he ran at Alabama. This is what made him successful at Alabama. I think it's perfect pairing for Najee, but Omarion Hampton's draft pick kind of like is really going to kill his value if you're like a fantasy guy. But at the same time, I actually think the offense fits Najee's running style really, really well. I don't know. I'd be surprised if Gus Edwards makes that team.
I got a question for you guys. How many 100-yard reception games does DK Metcalf have if Mason Rudolph is the quarterback?
5.
I'm going to say 3. Both Brown games and the Dolphin game.
Oh, they're going to throw him deep. Mason throws an okay deep ball.
Is Tomlin going to allow somebody to run across the middle?
No, absolutely not. Are you kidding
me? Then I'm going to say 4. Because DK Metcalf actually, he's better route runner than I think people give him credit for, and he's actually good at work in the middle of the field. But I'm really curious to see if Tomlin's going to ever allow that to happen.
Well, again, if it's Aaron Rodgers, then probably he's going to do it no matter what Tomlin says. But if it's Mason Rudolph, they're not going to throw him in the middle.
If Aaron's here, I'm
ultra conservative.
If Aaron's here and we don't make a trade, then it's 6. If Aaron's not here and it's Mason Rudolph, I'm probably sticking with 4.
Be a long season, fellas. If Mason Rudolph's quarterback, it's going to be a long year. It might be worth it.
It's going to be
in the long run. You suffer for one season like the Patriots guy said there, and you get a top pick, and we freaking start to claw our way out of mediocrity little by little.
We've needed this, to be fair. Like, I mean, I've been advocating this for 2 seasons. I did not want Kenny Pickett to be drafted. I wanted to go offensive line back then. I did not want a quarterback in that draft. Just build this thing from the inside out. I was advocating that the whole time from back then. You just got to lose sometimes. And go get your guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you accused me of being a Colbert lover, and I blasted them when they drafted Najee Harris. On my blog, I blasted them. I thought it was a terrible pick. I knew it was a terrible pick.
Yeah.
They needed an offensive lineman that year, and they did not take one. They needed a center so bad. And they took they took a guard in the 3rd round who wasn't a center. And that was the start of the end.
You took Najee Harris and Pat Freiermuth and passed on Creed Humphrey twice.
Yep.
That was just
almost unforgivable.
Organizational malpractice.
And
100%.
Don't forget Landon Dickerson.
That him too.
Yeah.
They passed on him too. Those are the two guys I said at the time. It's just
How
it was a shortcut.
How different does that look if you go Dickerson and Humphrey in the first 2 rounds?
Oh,
And maybe you pick a guy like Javonte Williams later on in the draft.
It's night and day. We're 3 years ahead of where we are now. We're on the upswing, heading towards being competitive. Depending on, of course, who the quarterback is. But
I mean, you're still in flux basically at 3 positions on the offensive line: left tackle, your left guard after this season, and right guard. You have no clue who's going to be playing there. If McCormick's going to take a step forward or not. Broderick Jones, does he do anything this year better than what he's done? And Sam Wally probably gone after this year.
Yep.
So you're no further ahead. You're behind.
I'm telling you right now, Broderick at left tackle is going to be a revelation. And we're going to be mighty pissed that Pat Meyer has a job.
I already am. That's another one of those things where they refusing to fire coaches is biting them in the ass. Because they'll move on from them after this year. But you've ruined possibly Broderick Jones and maybe, who knows who else, because he hasn't improved one single offensive lineman the entire time he's been here.
Right.
Not one has improved. We all see it.
Yeah, I get a lot of people's talk about Zach Frazier. This dude was a ready-made prospect coming out. I thought he was the best center in the draft. I was shouting it from the rooftops that this guy should be the center.
He's a finished product.
There was nothing to develop. This kid stepped in week 1, and he's been fantastic ever since. He's
gotten better. James Daniels didn't get better. None of the tackles played good. Chooks never played well. No one ever improved on this offensive line. And they got arrogant that they could take anybody and plug them in anywhere and they'd be good.
Yep.
They got arrogant.
Kevin Dotson was the one guy you could make an argument for.
Oh, he got good when he left.
No, he was actually good when he was playing his natural position.
Well,
then we moved him to left guard, and he sucked. And then the Rams put him back at right guard, and he played fantastic. He actually played really, really well as a young guy playing in his natural position. But of course, the Tomlin thing says, everybody's interchangeable. Sometimes they're really not.
I think Villanueva ruined them because they thought they could just take anybody off the scrap heap, coach him up a little bit, and they become, offensive line isn't a priority. We can take anybody and coach him up, and we're fine. And they went years without drafting one, and this is what happens. And then, unfortunately, it's not that easy to draft them. And if you miss on one like Broderick Jones, maybe, then that sets you back another couple of years. It's not that easy. You have to build and continuously build, and that's why we're 5 years behind trying to fill this offensive line. Hopefully, Furtado and Jones work out, and we're good. Hopefully, but that's no guarantee. It's far from it.
I mean,
I still think Furtado is good this year at right tackle, but I still think he replaces Isaac at left guard, and they figure out a way to bring in a veteran right tackle.
I don't want to see that a guy again.
I think that kid's going to be I think he's going to be a stud at right tackle. I think he should be our left tackle.
I think Tomlin, if he stays healthy, I think he is the left tackle. I think
Not
Tomlin
a blindside tackle, though. Remember, he played with Penix in college. People forget that. Oh, he's left tackle. He's not the blindside tackle.
Yeah, but
I don't care. The footwork and the hand placement and everything, it's all the same, regardless if it's the blind side or not. To me, I think that's the biggest issue with Broderick Jones. It was everybody in the world knew this kid was a developmental player. And the problem Pittsburgh has created is that you took a developmental player and then you kept moving him around.
Yep.
And you're not letting him develop and get consistency with the one thing that he struggles with. He has a terrible punch. He has terrible hand placement. And then you're moving him from right to left. And then he's trying to figure out his footwork between the two. I think that's been the biggest issue in this kid's development. And he was a 3-year prospect coming out. So this is year 3. He has to hit his stride, but have we diminished his ability to actually accelerate that development because of the fact that we're bumping him from right to left?
The big problem with Broderick's punch is that he has the elbow when he's playing on that right side. That's his weak arm. Now, when he's only played 1 game at left tackle in his whole career, it's the highest graded left tackle play by a Steeler in a decade.
Well,
And
that goes back to Dan Moore. Why isn't he starting over Dan Moore the entire time? Take your lumps. Let the kid start. What are we doing? It's time to go
100%.
up.
I cannot wait until Tennessee rolls out Dan Moore at left tackle and Cam Ward is out for the year in the first game because they realize that, oh my God, we paid this guy $83 million.
All right, we've gone pretty long. We got to get out of here. Trent, thanks again for coming on. Thanks for everybody in the chat. Again, great chat.
Yep.
Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button, please. We'll be back on Monday. Hopefully,
Aaron, maybe?
hopefully Aaron Rodgers news. I doubt it, but hopefully. Again, thanks everybody, and we'll talk to you next time on the Steelers Sanctuary podcast.
Later.
Well, he's not weird or anything, is he?
No. No, he's totally normal.
I think you should be working at the snack bar.
You better relax, Bob.
I mean, you know, normal for us.
All right, let's go.
Now you've had enough.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
Okay, crazy guy. I'm gonna go home now.